Hi, welcome back on board. This is the fifth in a series of some iconic roads up the east coast of Australia. We left Adelaide and we were heading through to our final destination in the Daintree in Queensland. This bit of footage through here is a bit of a mixture of heading up the coast. There's some of Maryborough. A little bit further on there's a little town called 1770. Some really good stuff to look at along the way. There's a bit of a mixed bag for us because we've been plagued with some fairly wet weather most of the way up the east coast that had floods, as I mentioned previously, down at Lismore and Grafton and so on. So we were sort of just picking our days as we went along. Some of the towns we stayed at, an example would be, there's a couple of shots a bit further on in Townsville. Probably some of the heaviest rain I've ever ridden through, and overnight in Townsville, 120 mil of rain. So it certainly sort of curtailed where we were going and what we were doing along the way. In amongst that was patches like this section here where we had a glorious day, plenty of sun and some fairly interesting roads. We continued up along the Queensland coast. That's a bit of footage just outside of Townsville on the river that was flooded. A lot of really great little towns and places to stop along the way. As I said, we poked around. My wife's pretty keen on her bird photography, and we've been into a couple of places looking for cassowaries and other bird life and didn't see too much. And then we just had lunch at one of the beaches, came around the corner and there's two cassowaries. The father and the chick walking down the middle of the road, which is a bit of a rare thing to see, even though everywhere you look there's signs on beware of cassowaries. That was the only two we saw in our whole trip while we were away. We continued up from Townsville further up the coast and took a turn off into the hinterland. This is a shot outside Herberton Historic Village. Probably one of the best historic villages I've been to over the years. It just had so much rusted relics, trucks, vehicles, sawmills, gold mining equipment. We were there for quite a few hours poking around and really enjoyed it, and a great little town to stop in as well. After Herberton, we headed back over and we're making our way back in towards Cairns. This little bit of footage here, you'll probably notice there's a few cable ties holding the front windscreen together. Unfortunately, our little visit at the Historic Museum in Herberton, some kind traveller reversed into the bike and tipped it over, a few scratches here and there and split the screen. So it was a bit of a temporary repair, and it did a pretty good job. It lasted the whole trip without coming apart again. But it was amazing, so many people in the car park and nobody saw a thing. So a bit disappointing, but that's how it goes these days. This is a bit of footage coming into Cairns, place that we stayed at in Cairns for a week or so, fairly close to the centre of town and beaches and so on. We've been to Cairns a couple of times over the years, and it was good to catch up. Courtesy of COVID once again, it was fairly quiet at times up there, not a lot of tourists around the place, and it didn't sort of pick up until a couple of days before we were getting ready to come back. But Cairns is another one of those really beautiful towns. They've done an excellent job getting their tourist destinations and visitors centres and everything put together, and there's just so much that you can see and do around Cairns. As I said, we've been there before and been out to Green Island and other things. A little bit of footage here of us travelling up to Kuranda. I'd had a couple of shots of doing filming on this road, and every time up or down I managed to get the rain come in on me, but a really interesting bit of road. We went up in the morning and we followed the train that runs up to Kuranda. We'd done it once before going up on the train. We came back on the Sky Rail. If you've got the time to do it, it's certainly a really good day out, and you get to see so much. Covers out over Barren Falls, all through the mountains there. But Kuranda itself, a little bit of a throwback to a hippie town at the top of the mountains. It's not something that really interests me in a lot of the places. We went to the bird world and the reptile park there. That's well and truly worthwhile seeing the bird world. We had a great time. As I said, we followed the morning train up, which terminates at Kuranda, and then most people jump on the Sky Rail and come back. Really spectacular bit of scenery through the mountains up there. As I said, the shopping is a bit of a mixed bag. It reminds me a little bit of Bali, but everybody seems to spend their dollars out. I suppose that's what it's all about. From Kuranda, we sort of moseyed on around parts of there, went across, and then eventually turned and made our way back along the coast through Smithfield to Cairns. We'd spent about a week in Cairns, and there was quite a bit to see around town that we wanted to catch up to. We did a bit of R&R, gave us a chance to clean the bike up and clean all our wet weather gear and everything. And we spent a bit of time around town, obviously in the evening, going out to various restaurants. And there's so much to do in Cairns, and it's certainly a really exciting city. Plenty of nightlife. Went over to the casino and made our donation there for the night. And then we're sort of getting ourselves geared up for a couple of rides. We wanted to go back over to through the Gillies to Atherton, back up around the top, heading back up towards Bosman, and then back down the coast. And as I said, it was Cairns was just a bit of an R&R break. It gave us a chance to go and see a few things. Went out to the Botanical Gardens, walked around there for breakfast and so on. And as I said, not a lot happening on the touristy side. As I said, it was pretty quiet, but it was a good couple of days just to chill out and check out a few things that we'd done in the past.